Hey Home Care Ops Nation, Kevin here. I wanted to jump on briefly, well, not so briefly. We'll get into that here in a minute. But I wanted to respond to some of your comments on a post from yesterday with Jessica. She asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, how recognizable do you feel your brand is in your community? Some of you said 10s, and that's awesome. Some of you were very vulnerable and courageous, sharing where you really were, talking about challenges like I don't market, or there's a lot of competition, or just getting started. Wherever you are, thank you for sharing your comments and your challenges there. I wanted to share a tool with you, and so this video may take a minute, kind of an impromptu, quick brand essence, brand pyramid training, something that I've walked people through for 15 years before I started Home Care Hops, and would go through to help them get their brand persona, their brand identity solidified to where they can have a strong brand that would be more recognizable, would be able to be more referable in a community. And with home care, especially with referrals and word of mouth being such a significant part of their success, this tool will help you bring a business brand down to your home care agency brand to a point where it's simple, it's memorable, it's easy for people to recommend you. The easier it is for them to recommend you, the easier it is for that to ripple out into the community. And so the goal of this is to help quickly walk you through a process that I've gone through for years. I did this whether it was starting someone with even naming a company, rebranding a company for logos and content, communication, colors, whatever it was. I use this still today in part as I think about content, think about graphics that we're creating for home care ops. So for you, as you're looking to take your business from 8 or 9 to that final 10, there may be some tweaks here that you can have. If you're in that 0 to 6 range though, there's something here for you, and I'll walk you through that whole process. So this brand pyramid starts with brand personality. And before we go too deep, actually, think about for a second what a brand is, right? I'm gonna say personality because it talks about how they relate with you and how they feel about you. But some might say, like Jeff Bezos would say, a brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. A gentleman I talked to hit the nail on the head with this, saying a brand is how people feel about you, right? And others might say a brand is the impression that you make on others. And an impression definitely leads to feelings. And considering home care, because it is such an emotional, impactful industry, we will talk about feelings a lot, right? In terms of a driving force, an emotional response as a driver here. And that doesn't really change this tool much. It just changes how I'm going to talk about it. So brand personality, there are several different tools out there. This came from an uncle of mine, and I've changed it over the years since I got it myself 15 years ago. So you might find other variations on this, some other different personas and personality types that might get defined. These are the 5 main buckets that I break out personality into, and I emphasize and encourage companies to focus on one of these as a primary. It's okay to have a secondary. You don't want to be a split multi-personality company out there, but we got to focus on one and then have maybe a second. So I'm going to kind of work through these here with you. Ruggedness, probably not home care. That's more of your masculine. That's a Jeep or a DeWalt drill or something like that. Sophistication, excitement. Excitement is probably more of a Mountain Dew commercial than it is a home care commercial. And then there you got confidence and sincerity. I'm going to speak about these two briefly and help you maybe decide which one you should focus on. In home care, we are very compassionate driven. We'll talk about caregiver or owner burnout all the time because we will put our compassion and our desires ahead of our capacity sometimes. And we'll drive ourselves and wear ourselves down. At Home Care Ops, our goal is to help get owners to a point where their capacity and their team's capacity gets them in a much better position. That benefits the clients significantly. And in that light, if you're a home care agency focusing on sincerity and you're not getting the brand recognition you feel you deserve, maybe you have that sincerity personality in the wrong position. Maybe that needs to be your support one. Because from a client perspective, competence matters most. with home care. So that personality standing out to them will give them the confidence to recommend you, the confidence to use you more than any of these other traits. Reliable, hardworking, intelligent, which leads to skills and abilities that might fit within your trainings that you do for your clients and caregivers to be able to care for their specific needs. All of that matters most when it comes to looking at a brand in home care of all of 5 of these. If you are sincere and honest and you're wholesome and cheerful, that's some great secondary things to back up. Next side is the user values. Talking about from their perspective again to lead your personality. Your user values need to align with your right fit client, your ideal client, as Jessica will talk about. So look at the clients or caregivers or referral marketing sources, whatever you're trying to align with. Those are all interchangeable here. Look at what their needs are, what they care about, what they want, what's important to them, and what their goals are. Now, that may all sound redundant to you, but I guarantee you what's important to someone may differ slightly than their wants, needs long list. It's going to be probably the top 3 of 70 things instead of all 70 things of their wants and needs. What's going to be the most important thing for them to have as an outcome of working with you is going to be a big part of that user value. You need to analyze all of this. And what are their goals? If you can understand their goals as a client or as a caregiver or as a referral source, you can help your brand align with helping them understand how you will achieve that, right? Like Domino's Pizza, get your pizza warm and ready. You know, they talk about time and how quick they are. Geico talks about how quick they are and how affordable they are. Those are values that they align with their user that helps move their brand forward, makes it something I remember ages later from commercials I saw back in the 80s and the 90s. All that stuff needs to connect with an emotional reward as well. So emotional rewards is different than just rewards. Not just what do I get out of this company, what emotional benefit do I get from working with your company is what you need to think about from the consumer perspective. The feelings that you help them experience with you will help them be better at referring your company or deterring people from your company. You want to have a good positive experience there. And so what can you, and through your content, what can you do to give them a sampling of that? Think about like Saturday Costco or Sam's Club's food samples. What can you do from your brand, the things you deliver, to help them get that in an emotional response, not just a what response? A great example is these car commercials lately that have automatic braking. What you don't see is all this mechanics nonsense about the car braking. You see a car of a family with a family in it driving down the road. Dad gets distracted or mom gets distracted. A semi pulls out. The car brakes by itself. And rather than some engineer coming out and giving you the mechanics of what happened, how many computers fired, the electrical components that fired, the braking mechanism, and boring us all to death, they go back inside of the car. You see the mom and dad look at each other, look back at the kids, and then look at each other again. And as a parent of 6 kids, I feel that. That's an emotional reward I want. That's safety. So now I have an emotional connection to their feature, the function of what they did. Not just, oh, that's nice that it technically does that. I've been connected to it emotionally. So think about emotional rewards that your brand offers consistently through continuous care and wants people to experience through their brand, and give them a sample of that in your content and communication. And then functional benefits. I know I just talked about this with the braking, but you also need to look at what things you do that set you apart from other home care agencies that help them really understand what they can rely on you consistently. Don't try and be everything to everyone. We talk about that in our tool to help define the right fit client, and the things that you just won't do as a home care agency, hours of availability, types of service you care. Focus in on the top things that you can consistently deliver care on, that you specialize in. And again, don't just give me a respite care page or an Alzheimer's page or a Parkinson's care page. Help me through you explaining that area of service from your brand. Help me understand how you save me time, how you make my life simpler or improve my life or reduce risk for me or my loved one. Those functional benefits, again, not functions, benefits. Lead with the benefits of the function, not just the function itself. Otherwise, you're just giving me a dictionary description of home care, not a brand. right? Am I reading the dictionary or am I reading about your brand? That will make a huge difference on your brand resonating or restricting inside your community. And then features. This gets really tough. Features are going to be the things that separate you, not just the things that make you the same as everyone else as well. And I'm being a little redundant here, going from the functional benefits versus features, because home care has such a narrow difference on that. It's not a huge, big difference in that like maybe a product would. But there are ways that you can take features of respite care, features of Alzheimer's care, features of dietary care that can help you stand out. What differentiates you from your competition? This goes for those deeper researchers that need to know more than the top level feel goods. They want to go a little bit deeper, but you need to do this in a way that you're not just sounding the same as everyone else. So if I were to beat a drum at a simple 4-beat rhythm, right? And I'm beating that drum of respite care, for example, and I just hold on to that beat. And I'm just going to keep doing this beat. It's a simple 4-beat. Everyone else is looking at everyone else's websites, everyone else's brochures, and saying the same thing about respite care. Just 4 beats, simple 4 beats. And I have 3 people in band in my family. Me and my 2 boys all did band. I had 2 drummers. So this is going to come really easy to me. But if you as a brand take those features and you speak about them in a way that sets you apart, you're still doing the same 4-count beat, but you're syncopating notes. And it helps draw eyes and ears to you as a brand. And that will help things move forward. And as you take all of these things together, all 5 of these areas together, this creates your brand essence. So as you work with your team through all these different sections and you pull it all down, simplify it into statements that are concise, that can resonate and connect with your ideal audience, your right fit clients, your right fit caregivers, referral sources you want to communicate with, whether it's web content, video content, letters you send out to prospects out there, and make it memorable with referral marketing, especially. And that's again, word of mouth is a huge driver for home care. Hard thing for me as a marketing geek to admit sometimes, and I love this space. But if it's going to be something that you rely on word of mouth so much and you want your brand to resonate throughout and ripple throughout your community, it needs to be memorable. It needs to be easy for me to share about that. And it needs to be easy for those that I share my experience with your company and share statements about your company with. It needs to be easy for them to remember it as well. So it needs to be like the telephone game. The simpler it is, and the more concise it is, the more it connects with them emotionally, the more correct what your brand is will be from the original source all the way down to the end source that's coming back to you and looking for home care. And that's going to be extremely important. So you need to individualize that, drive it around the emotions, the experiences, and the why and the purpose of those. So if you are a 1 or a 5 or somewhere in between, if you're a 6 or a 7 or an 8, as a home care agency and brand recognition in your community, as you take this tool and you work on refining your communication, your outward visual presence, do the things that you're putting out there really echo and resonate with your brand and your right fit audience. As you do those things, you will deepen your impact and your reach within your community. I've seen it done over and over again. So hopefully this tool helps you out. I look forward to seeing some comments, some feedback. As you have questions about this, please comment and post here. More than happy to point you in a direction or answer a question about brand essence and brand recognition as a whole. So keep on, taking action, as Clint would say. Keep on working these different aspects, and don't think about it in the sense of something overwhelming. This should be very natural. Actually, as you work through this, you'll find out how natural it is as you work with your team. Ask them basic questions and have them give you the words about brand personality. Don't supply them the list I gave you. Ask them, hey, what words do you think about when you think about our company, XYZ Home Care, right? What do you think about with our services we provide? Like, what stands out to you? What have we heard from our clients that have been great feedback that helps us really stand out for respite care or Alzheimer's dementia care? Ask those questions. Those things will drive your brand forward. So again, look forward to seeing some feedback, comments below. Have a great rest of your day.